Alright, this is a review slash demo slash playthrough of Mark Manson's paid monthly subscription service. So basically what this is once you are a member, you have access to his paid courses, a complete archive, downloads, his courses, articles, audio commentaries, and more. So let's start with the courses. I think this is fantastic. So if you pay monthly, it's only $6 a month, which is incredibly ridiculously low in price. And what I love about this is that you have 5 flagship courses here, one on how to travel long-term or short-term, a blogging and writing course, a dating and relationships course, overcome anxiety course, and a connections course. All 5 of these courses really apply to me since I am a blogger. I also struggle with anxiety, I want to travel too, and so on and so forth. So they really apply to me, and I think what I love most about them is that these courses typically in the online marketing world often cost hundreds of dollars, if not $1,000 or more, and he has chosen to give them away at a discounted price. Now some people say, oh, well, if you make it so low, then people won't really respect the course and give it its value. And I think for some people that's true, but for me, I know how, I respect the quality of this course a lot. In fact, I think some of these are just as good, if not better, than some of the paid courses out there that cost $497 or $197. So I think it's a great prospect. I think he used to sell these individually for large amounts of money, but since he's rolled them into this monthly membership package, which I think is great. Now I've started some of these courses, and one thing I want to mention is that the long-term travel course, along with a couple others, are completely text-based. So this man is a writer, and he likes to write more than he likes to make videos, and therefore it kind of makes sense to him, at least, that the courses are all text. So with this course, you can kind of see that it is a lot of text, and then there's links to resources that are free online, but he's basically curating some good links here and resources, and then just writing about specifics of travel. There's about 6 lessons, and then each lesson is probably 2,000 to 6,000 words in length. Now I'm not as much a reader as I am a listener, so some of these get really long and technical, especially the lesson on travel visas and passports. That one just got exceptionally boring and very technical and legal very quickly, and it didn't help that it was like 7,000 words long. However, I did have some I did like some of the other lighter lessons that were more about the fun of travel and what you had to do. It is a bit tedious to go through some of the exercises. He has exercises at the end of each lesson and in the middle of each lesson, and I really like the fact that he does try and cover everything, the A to Z, that you need to know about traveling the world on a budget and doing it for less than it costs than living where you are in the US or wherever you live. He even touches on stuff about gaming the system and so on and so forth. Now of course there's likely stuff that you've heard about, such as travel points and credit cards, but so far he has covered some things and tricks and just elements of travel that I didn't consider before, despite being well researched in some of the free travel hacking stuff. He also covers angles and stuff that you wouldn't really know unless you traveled before, such as minimizing what you take with you, what you don't actually need, and what you can expect, such as beating jet lag, and the subtleties of travel, such as really figuring out what type of traveler are you, something that most people don't consider. For example, some people like traveling in the city and partying. Others don't like that life. They would rather camp and backpack and spend months with low quality of living, but camping and backpacking through Machu Picchu. Others are more luxury style travelers who like to stay in resorts. Others like more low tier beaches. And then he kind of gives you exercises to kind of pinpoint that and create a plan off of that. He also goes into accommodations. Now the overall gist of what he says here is something that you could probably find for free online. Like, we've heard of couch surfing and all that other stuff, but he also goes into depth about Airbnb versus hostels versus hotels. And he even creates matrices like this one where you can kind of pinpoint where you are. So let's say you want to stay for less than 2 weeks and you have a solid to medium budget. Well, Airbnb and a hostel or cheap hotel is probably where you want to be at. So I think this is pretty good. What I don't like about it is the exercises can sometimes get pretty tedious. It can take sometimes 2 minutes to finish an exercise, but sometimes it really requires some thinking and planning and preparation, and there's a bunch of questions and things you have to ponder. So it could take 30 minutes to an hour, which kind of intimidates you and kind of makes you not want to complete the exercise. And that's really where it stalls out for me, because I can't move on to the next lesson unless I complete the exercise, and I can't complete the exercise because it's too intimidating, so I procrastinate. So if he had like shorter exercises throughout, that would have been better. But I really think this is really cool and awesome. I mean, he even like breaks out in this section based off how much money you can earn, which places he recommends traveling to. For example, if you're piss broke, maybe rural India or Africa. If you have a bit more money, Philippines, China, Africa. And then if you have more money, Thailand, Colombia. And then if you have it starts going up and up until probably the most expensive are New York, Sydney, Dubai, Moscow, Tokyo, Miami, LA, and you're probably familiar with these. But he basically covers a lot of stuff that I wouldn't have. Now, what I like about the other courses, like the connection course and the anxiety course, is that they are video based, which I love because I can just pop one open and listen to it, and I don't have to it's less effort for me to read. It's less effort for me to just watch this video rather than read. And they are mainly talking head videos where he just kind of talks to the camera the whole time, but that's fine with me. Like, I'm more of a listener than a video guy, so I don't really need visuals there. Like, it's sometimes nice if it's a short video, but it can become a chore if it's a long video, because then I have to stay engaged. Whereas sometimes I just like listening while I'm doing other stuff. So very simple, not as much text, and I kind of like this style, so really like it there. And some of the courses are kind of short, but short doesn't necessarily mean bad. Short can sometimes mean better. And he has some cool stuff here. Like, he has a like small little program you can use as part of the exercise where you can like generate a new word and work off of that to improve your ability to relate to people. And again, this video is
a lot of time
also talking heads, so nothing special about it. Just him talking to a camera, no fancy visuals, but sometimes you don't need any. And I really like the fact that with this course specifically, and the anxiety course, he draws on a good amount of science to back up what he says. A lot of modern science on cognitive behavioral therapy and stuff like that. He doesn't always cite his sources in the actual course, but he does in his free material, so you just kind of have to trust him. I really think it's a good deal. Now, of course, he just released a book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, and he offers a 2-hour commentary on the book, which is kind of nice. Not necessary, but there you go. Also, he has one on his older book, Models, which is kind of nice. And of course, there's an audio archive of all of his articles, not all of them, but the majority of them. So if you ever want to just kind of download one of these and play it on your iPhone, you can do that here, which is fantastic. So that's great in and of itself. Now, he does offer free audios on some of his free articles, but as noted here, only subscribers may listen directly on this page and have all access to all of his audios, and you can even sort his articles by subscriber only. Now, one thing that you might be interested in is the caliber and quality of his paid articles. If you're a free reader of his site, you may realize that he releases a lot of articles that are subscriber only, which means only a subscriber can read them or listen to them. And I've checked out a few of his articles that are subscriber only, and they're okay. Some of them I was a bit underwhelmed with, such as the 10 cool things about the brain. I feel like his free articles were better than this. Like, it basically just went on like a few cool things about the brain, and oftentimes like the takeaway was like he has a section that under each that says what this means for you, and oftentimes like the takeaway would be you can't really apply this to real life for anything useful, but it's a cool fact. Like, that's really what he pretty much said for some of these. It's like, this is likely useful, or it's just common sense. Like, we use mirror neurons. Okay, that's why it's so useful to have role models, but you probably already knew this. Stuff like that. Having said that, some of his articles are not bad at all. So you can filter by topic like culture, dating and relationships, life choices, or psychology, and subscriber only. It would be better if you could filter by life choices and then subscriber only, but not a big deal. I mean, he highlights which ones are subscriber only to begin with in red, so you can just kind of manually look through here, find any that you're really interested in. Wanderlust maybe, or 683 ways to fail to get a job offer. Now that's one that you might be interested in seeing. Well, what does the subscriber get? And it's something like this. You don't actually see 683 ways. It's basically an essay on, how you can succeed in life in the job interview process. Follow directions is something that's is maybe obvious, but not taken advantage of, and so on and so forth. Then there's this Wanderlust article. Now for me, I think his essays are good, but I mean, there's so much material online from like super successful people that and so many free articles by him that, like, most of his subscriber only articles, like, that wasn't really the appeal for me to purchase his membership, because I mean, there's so much content out there, and a lot of it's so good online. Like, I don't have time to read all this stuff. Plus, like, some of his essays are really just kind of his stream of conscious, and there's not much citations or scientific advice to back it up. He is one of the top personal development bloggers of all time, with like millions of readers on his site every month. But having said that, still, like, some of his stuff are just like rants with his own personal opinions on how you should be successful at a certain topic. And I mean, what if that's bad advice? What if it's wrong advice? Therefore, like, with so much content already, like, I don't have time to read all of it. Might as well focus on stuff I can trust first. But there are articles like this one that I was really curious about. 7-minute read, tips and advice for starting a blog. Most bloggers don't make any money, blah, blah, blah. But there's a lot of good tips here. It's short, but to the point. Proofread, set a word goal each week. You want quality traffic first, quantity second. Until you've written hundreds of thousands of words, you have no clue what you will enjoy writing about or what other people enjoy reading. Now, some of this stuff is common sense because I'm like a junkie to this world. Like, I read everything out there on it, paid and free. So a lot of it is just like I already know already. So for me, it might not be as exciting as for you, who who is not a junkie like I am. But I still kind of like this stuff because what I'm looking for are the golden nuggets, the tiny things that I haven't heard before. Now, 99% of this I've probably heard before, like study branding and basic marketing. Like, you don't have to tell me twice. Writing first, design second. Got it. I already know that. I've heard it from like a million top bloggers. Read books, not other bloggers. Yeah. So for me, it's not the biggest deal. But nonetheless, I am pretty happy with this membership. The fact that he has it at such a low price is awesome as well. I think that's pretty darn cool. There's even this, the final thing here is like video bonuses. Nothing crazy here, like it's just like a few small things. He did an AMA, he did like a video on healthy relationships. I don't know why this is here because he links to it in his writing and blogging course, so it's like you probably linked to this twice by accident. Brilliant or bullshit personality tests. So he has a few cool videos here. Quite frankly, I like the fact that it's so minimalistic. Some people might be pissed off that there's not like 1,000 different things in here, but I love the fact that it's so simple and clean. And it's just this one $6 per month price, $4 per month if you purchase the annual package. And I like it because it's so simple and clean, and it's focused on what will give you the highest impact. There's a lot of other courses and stuff out there where it's just overwhelming. John Morrow has a writing membership site, which is good. It's called Serious Bloggers Online. Serious Bloggers Only, but it's a bit overwhelming. Like once you enter, it's just like every week we're putting out all this new video content covering every possible topic under the sun on how to be a good blogger that makes money online, and it's just like overwhelming. Like you don't know where to start. Like you can kind of figure that out on your own, but at the same time it's like you have this fear of missing out because there's just so much stuff there, and you're like, oh, maybe I need to know this and this and this, and you could spend a lifetime in there. But here, like some people will mistakenly say, oh, these courses only took me a week to finish, this isn't worth it. But I think that's good. You don't want to spend like 10 years trying to finish all the content, and that's the problem. Some of these online businesses have this fear that you're going to not enjoy the course or get impact from it, or not think it's worth your money if they're not constantly putting out a sheer bucket load of quantity of content. But that's not always the case. Now, for some of his videos, especially in his Serious Bloggers Only, in his blogging and writing course, what I like about them is that they actually go into SlideShare presentations like this. So with his blogging course and writing course, it isn't just talking head. 90% of it is a PowerPoint presentation like this one, where he goes through slides, but he also pulls open a Word document and he starts writing and editing right in front of you to kind of go through the process, like this one. So you can kind of see, he hops to and fro from a PowerPoint presentation to a Google document where he kind of does some writing and editing, and also shares with you some of his works in progress, some of his outlines, and some of his revisions over time. And then he hops back to his PowerPoint. And I found this incredibly useful and impactful. Quite frankly, I think it's overwhelming when there's like a million of these in there. It's just like a short, succinct explanation of 90% of his writing process is well worth it. I think a lot of people just get paralyzed, trying to listen and learn so much that they don't even ever really get started. So I just like this a lot. He doesn't go over the top with it. It doesn't have too many crazy promises, and I think that's something that a few select online business owners who teach courses are doing now, but many are not. They're still erring on the side of sensationalizing the results they promise, or just going way overboard or extreme, or just kind of like slowly pushing that envelope. But for especially his anxiety course, in lesson 1, the intro, note that how there's only 8 lessons, but in the intro, it's just this quick, tiny little 5-minute video where he really just explains the hierarchy and structure of the course, but more so, he goes into why he's not a miracle worker, why this course will help, but it doesn't guarantee that you'll master anxiety immediately. And like, I think that's incredible. I think it's trustworthy, it's admirable, and then also highlights the fact that, hey, he's not a professional psychiatrist here. If you have serious issues, some of this stuff will help, but it's not going to happen overnight. It may take years, and you're best seeking professional help first. So I like that a lot about this course. A lot of people, that isn't even an option. That level of transparency is just not even considered, and it can get a little shady. I love the fact that there's 10 courses, 10 lessons, and it's meaty, but it's not too meaty. It's not something where you have to spend a lifetime or even half a year finishing it. Now his AMA stuff, I think it's all right. Some people will probably purchase the membership because of the AMAs. They want some level of exclusive access to him because they're super fans. They think this guy is incredible. For me, I'm not as much into that stuff. I think he's achieved a lot of success blogging, and he has results to prove it. So therefore, I gravitate a lot to his travel stuff. But these AMAs just kind of cover questions all across the board. And of course, nowadays he talks about all sorts of crazy stuff, from politics to culture to nihilism to monogamy to sexuality. And at that point, it's just like, can you trust this guy's advice? Is he an expert at this, or is he just talking out of his ass? Who knows? But for any super fans, now you get all this like off the cuff advice from his 2 AMAs that he's done. Plus he did a article. He did 2 articles on those AMAs here for his subscribers. Ask Mark Anything #1 and Ask Mark Anything #2. Both were the first time he did anything like this. So that's pretty cool. And he also is kind enough to give us the convenience of having timestamps. I love how people do this. It sucks that most people are too lazy to do this, especially on YouTube. But yeah, especially if you don't have the time to kind of skip through. I mean, if you don't have the time, then it's great to skip through and just jump to like what you're interested in. Maybe you don't care what nihilism is, and you don't care about all this crazy esoteric abstract broad stuff like, oh, how do I is pornography changing the world landscape and Bitcoin and blah blah blah. Maybe you just want to know if you're emotionally stable and if you're in a good place now. You have no idea. You just click here and he talks about it. I think that's awesome. So yeah, and it's pretty meaty too. It's probably easy for him to record these too. I mean, it probably doesn't take too long, but you got about an hour's worth of each of these here. So that's it for his whole area. I think it's awesome. He also used to sell a bunch of ebooks: a happiness ebook, a self-knowledge ebook, habits, and a relationships ebook. The self-knowledge one is just like kind of strange. Are you honest to yourself? Most people think so. I guess he means self-awareness, which I can dig. But as soon as you sign up for your membership, you get all of these emailed to you with PDF links to download them. I just think that's fantastic. I believe he used to sell these ebooks separately for like $47 or some substantial amount of money, but now it just comes with the membership, which I think is great. I don't think you should devalue these because of the low price, as I mentioned before. And I guess the final part is the best archive section, where you can just kind of, or best article section, where he just kind of gives you his, tips on what he thinks is the best articles are for you to read. Now, with these articles here, I think most of them are free to begin with, so I would not start here if you're paying for something. And you can kind of see this is kind of like a free article version of his travel course. It's less detailed for sure. Like it covers certain things that his course does, but it definitely doesn't go as deep. And of course, he has some great books to recommend here. So that's all I gotta say, and hopefully you like this review / demo / inside look, peek behind the curtain of Mark Manson's premium content.